YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back after a wild Thursday night game in week 2. They're always wild. I don't know how every single one of these games all of a sudden are just wild every single time, but I can't complain about it. Excellent game. A little bit of sloppiness on both sides at the same time. I got all my takeaways here. If you follow our Twitter, you pretty much already have these thoughts and takeaways throughout and after the game. So make sure you follow that Twitter. A lot more going on there. Check out the Patreon extra content. And like, subscribe, turn notifications on. We got full NFL coverage here, weekly picks, score predictions, power rankings, more. Check out that BetQL app. Download it. You guys know the drill. Link in the description, comments for anything you need. Onto the game. You see some small points on the screen there, but I kind of have, some major takeaways. One major takeaway from both teams here, so we'll start with that. And it's still early. It's still early. That's first off. It's, week 1, usually a lot of strange things happen. Week 2, not as much. But you can't really get a firm identity on teams after week 2. But you kind of start to get an idea as we kind of get into week 3, week 4. But for the Giants, my takeaway, I talked about this after the game on Twitter. For the Giants, the offense moved the ball so well, like way better than expected against Washington's defense. You start to think that's probably as good as they can move the ball against that defense. We don't see that from the Giants. We don't expect that from the Giants. Now, they could have scored more points. They had missed opportunities, field goals instead of touchdowns. You see the Daniel Jones touchdown called back. You see Slayton drop that ball. Now, on that play, Slayton's got to catch that. That's first off there. He's definitely got to catch that. Daniel Jones kind of makes those throws quite a bit, though, where overall, it's a good throw. Slayton should catch it, but, it's a walk-in touchdown. Just get it to the target. We see that a few times, every week with Daniel Jones. Like, it's not necessarily a bad throw, but just get it to the target. Just get it to him. It's a layup throw. I guess when it's that deep, I guess we shouldn't call it a layup, but that was unfortunate. So kind of back to my major takeaway. They move the ball about, against that defense as good as you can think, as good as you possibly could expect. And they still, can't pull the game off. They still can't do it. And keep in mind, Fitzpatrick's not in. It's not the starting quarterback of the Washington football team. I know the Giants have their injuries across their offensive line. By the way, I thought the offensive line played pretty damn well given the circumstances. You see Gates go down in game, and he already had to switch to guard. I thought they did a pretty decent job, given the circumstances as well, especially down the stretch in this game. But again, back to my point, the Giants can't pull it off. So what does that tell us? I know teams can get better as the season goes on. It's only week 2. But, I wasn't expecting a whole lot from the Giants. I know most people weren't, but I don't think we can expect, I think we know what to expect from the Giants. If they can't pull that game off, what are they going to do? Are they going to win any major games here? They're going to win games, don't get me wrong, but it's just another one of those years for the New York Giants, and we're pretty damn confident, now, even though it's only week 2 after a game like that, a game that felt like within the game. It's Thursday night in Washington. Going into this game, it's a must-win game. Division game, prime time. Every game is a must-win game. But within the game, you got to win that game. You got to win that game. And if they can't pull that one off, what happened with what happened in that game, given the backup quarterback on the other side that gave you a gift to keep you in the game, to help you win the game, you almost could say it's unacceptable that they don't win that game. It's unacceptable, really. So, just another one of those years for the Giants. And then that's just kind of where we talked about in the offseason that, I think Gettleman needed to go already, definitely needs to go. You build up the corners and the receivers, but you kind of ignore the obvious bright, the spots that need to be bright, that are game-changing spots, quarterback, offensive line. And again, the offensive line played pretty well given the circumstances. And you see I have pass rush listed kind of in the middle there, and that is because they got pressure. They were beating what I think is a poor pass protection offensive line in Washington football team. They were beating them, but they couldn't get sacks. They got one sack. They couldn't get to the quarterback, and that's the same old story for the Giants. There is too much on Leonard Williams. Leonard Williams is a hell of a ball player, and you expected maybe a little more from him, but I'm not going to put it on him. There is too much for him to carry. There is no edge rush. That continues to be a thing, and I continue to say that in the offseason. Everyone's like, well, this guy's going to step up this year. We keep waiting for it. It doesn't really happen. So they ignore the quarterback position, they ignore the offensive line, they ignore the edge rush, they make sure they focus on corner, safety, receiver. How much good could that do you, you know? And Daniel Jones didn't play a terrible game. Again, he missed some layup throws. He's behind on some throws. Yeah, they end up getting field goals instead of touchdowns because, different reasons. But towards the end of the game, it was an opportunity to put the game away. Ice the game, you get a first down, it's over, and he threw it behind Sterling Shepard. So just layup throws like that was actually a good play call too. So, and Daniel Jones, he's very underrated in terms of his running ability. The read option was beautiful. I put coaching as a negative here overall. There was some positives. Yeah, that to ice the game, that quick slant, understanding what the defense is giving you, where they're playing too much cushion, playing too far off. Understanding that's great. The read option calls were great. So those were the positives in the coaching. But overall, I thought it was negative, because how do you not go back to the read option? How do you not go? That's kind of the thing. How do you not consistently go what's working? It felt like there was a script the whole game. And no matter what happened within the game, they were going to stick with that. And I don't know if that's the case. It looked like that was the case. No matter what was working, all right, read options working, now let's just stick to what we're doing. There was one point where they were going no huddle for like portions of drives when they had the lead, and they should have been. I'm not a big fan of being conservative running clock, but it was kind of a no huddle plus run clock type of plays. And there was very little moments where that was the case, but that's what makes it weird, like how that was just scattered in there. So I'm not thrilled with the coaching in that game. It also felt like the team was unprepared. It's still earlier in the year, and I had the same thing for Washington. We'll get to that. Unprepared. There was a touchdown by J.D. McKissick where it was just wide open. Walk into, I would have scored on that touchdown. You would have scored on that touchdown. Every one of you would have scored, And it was, if you look at it, go back and look at it, it was just misaligned, misalignment. Players, everybody's on the right side. Just here you go, free touchdown, And that was after a timeout, if I'm not mistaken. I just remember that now. So that's makes it even worse. So players misaligned. So that's on the players, but the coaching staff's got to have them ready. Misaligned and not ready on that last drive where Washington went down and got the field goal. They had to burn timeouts. So just unprepared. Maybe that's early season things. That's still a negative side there. Graham Gano was electric. You ever call a kicker electric? He was outstanding. So there's a positive there. Overall, it's a big negative, even though there's more positives list there. It's a must-win game. Unacceptable if the Giants lose that game. You can't expect a whole lot from them. I know most of us didn't already. You can't expect a whole lot from them. And then offsides, but Dexter Lawrence was kind of killer as well. You feel like that's kind of the worst, when you kind of can celebrate the game's over. Wait a minute, it's not. So that's the worst. So main takeaway is we know what to expect from the Giants. We can't expect a lot from the Giants after a game like that. You can't really expect them to win big games. And is that really that major of a game too? Again, it just felt like the way that game was going, you should win that game. It's unacceptable loss. They had their backup quarterback in. They were also messy. They kind of gave him a gift at the end. You got to win that game, To Washington, the big takeaway is the defense. I thought this would be the best defense in football. Really, it's still early. They still can get there. But you start to question it big time. You start to worry about it. From all many phases. I do got to credit Jonathan Allen. He's got 3 sacks in the year. He had 2 sacks this game. He started off great. And again, I credit the Giants' offensive line because they really held things down late in the game. There was really nobody getting pressure late in the game. And I will blame the corners more for this, and the coaching staff, actually, because there's a lot of times where they're not – the corners mixed in with the coaching staff, and I'll get to why I throw in the coaching staff, they're not giving the pass rush a chance. They're playing way too far off the ball, every play, way too often, and any team's going to see, all right, let's just pick this apart underneath. And I blame the coaching staff. How do you not adjust? I guess you don't trust your guys. I guess they don't trust those guys. They just paid William Jackson. That's the only explanation, because if that's not the explanation, then you're just being lazy and not trying to get your guys to come up and be physical, which that cannot be the case. They just paid William Jackson a lot of money. St. Juice was given way too much cushion. There's a lot of comebacks on him where he was still 10 yards, even where the comeback was. He's a rookie, but still, and Kendall Fuller is a fantastic corner, and he lit it up outside, surprisingly, last year. They got him in the slot, and, I guess the reason would be that what makes the most sense is they need him in the slot. Maybe they don't trust the next man up there, but I feel like they need him more on the outside in a game like this. you can at least move them back outside when the team like the Giants in this game are starting to pick apart the outside as the game goes on. So that the corners were a mess. And then given that you're playing that far off because you're afraid to get beat deep, you're not worried about the underneath, you're just worried about the deep, and they were still kind of getting beat deep. There wasn't too many plays. There also wasn't too many plays that they went deep. There was also a drop touchdown going deep. There was plays where they had PI going deep, bad PI penalties, correct calls, but bad on Washington. So they were still kind of getting beat deep, a step or two, or that Slayton won a lot of steps. So it's a mess back there, and that's surprising. Really no safety help. It does feel like, Landon Collins is more of a up-front guy, box guy, attacking the ball underneath. So I don't know. The secondary's not looking too great. I'm disappointed with Chase Young so far. I think he'll get going. We know he's a very good run stopper. I thought he'd be really getting going in terms of getting after the quarterback. He torched Nate Solder on one. It's an older guy. He just kind of uses athleticism on that. But that's all it is. When he goes on Andrew Thomas, who's kind of been hit or miss. But Andrew Thomas locked him down. He locked him down. The only thing Chase Young is doing right now is speed rushes on the outside, and usually those speed rushers, when they win, it's either because they're so damn athletic, what Chase Young is, but it's not showing, or they have on that speed rush on the outside, they get a crazy bend move. I don't see any of that from Chase Young. None of it. It's just, let me just rush. There is no moves. And that's surprising. There's no technique. He's relying on only his get off, his speed and quickness, and it's not working. The tackle Andrew Thomas in this case, knows how to game plan for it. You just kind of contain. You just kind of ride him outside. He's going to go way behind the quarterback. So it's very disappointing actually to see. Jonathan Allen's playing great. Montez Sweat's all right. Could see a little more from him, but I think I blame the corners a little more. Just giving up, it's just three-step drop throw, for the most part. So Terry McLaurin was lights out. I mean, a lot of balls that were behind him that he was snatching. He's just fantastic. So that was great. Logan Thomas was solid as well. Run blocking's great. Not worried about run blocking for Washington. They could have gave the ball to Gibson a bit more. They could definitely use him in the pass game a little more, which it's not like because they did last year, so that's why it's weird. But run blocking's great. Pass protection, not so much. They were letting guys in too early. Samuel Cosme having some rookie moments. He kind of puts his head down quite a bit. You need to brush up on the technique, but he's a rookie. Heinicke was inconsistent. It's kind of a roller coaster ride here because, he started the game with a missed throw to Logan Thomas. That was for a big game to start the game. He was behind in a lot of throws. The interception was very bad. It's kind of how you choke a game away. That's on the coaching as well. I was shocked by that call because Washington's this conservative play calling team. Like, we're going to run the ball even when we shouldn't run the ball, and they're up. You'd think they would run the ball. And then Gibson was actually gaining too. He was gaining, had some good runs. So that was surprising, that style of play call where they decided to throw that ball. It's a bad throw. And then you have a Heinicke drive where it took 2 plays to get down there, a beautiful throw and catch to Ricky Seals-Jones. And then you have that clutch last drive where it's, there was a time where it was 4th and 1, clock's rolling. They want to save that timeout. It might have been 4th and inches. They want to save that timeout, so they have to get on the ball. You think a quarterback in his position is like, oh, God, what do I do? Kind of looking at the sideline, what do I do? Trying to look at other players. What's the best idea here? They get on the ball, they run the ball. They don't overthink it like, oh, is running not too good here? They get the first down. So that was something that no one's really talking about. I like that. Just kind of knowing situation. He looked like a smart quarterback. He looked like a clutch quarterback. Had to make some clutch throws. So it's kind of a roller coaster ride for Taylor Heinicke there, and it was highs and there was lows. The was bad again. Sometimes when he gets pressured, he goes too far back, and he takes himself and his team kind of out of the play with that. You got to kind of try to make some tight window throws. I think he did as the game went on. I think I said that on Twitter. He got to stop going backwards, and he's going to have to attempt some tight window throws. He did that. I think he did that. On the interception, he tried to do that. That wasn't good. But, I talked about, the outside corner. I was not happy with the way they were playing, and I'm just not. Ron Rivera and Jack Del Rio, kind of the last guys you think to not be able to adjust that. But apparently, it looks like they don't really trust him. Covering deep or pressing and then covering deep. I know it's a lot of cover 3, and typically you don't press a lot doing that, but if you can, it could make all the difference in the world. You can't give up free yards. It makes the quarterback think they might be in man coverage or maybe cover 2-man under, and then but hey, surprise, we're in cover 3. So the fact they aren't, and we saw some. William Jackson actually did get beat. It was a Slayton touchdown. It was on a press. He just got beat right off the line. So I guess they don't trust those guys. But, you paid William Jackson a lot of money, and I still believe that, he has potential. He could be good, but not the best looks out there. Daniel Jones ran in a touchdown early where the middle was just wide open. No one's in the middle, so maybe a linebacker's supposed to be there, so put the blame on him. But out of the coaching staff doesn't see that, adjust, have them prepared. So a lot of unprepared moments, which it happens in week 2. Sometimes it happens in week 3. By week 4, if we're still seeing it, I'm scared. It's bad, So really bad. It's bad now. NFL players, there's a lot of training camp. It's really not a COVID excuse like last year. I know Washington did have some issues with that, but it's not like last year where we had extremely limited reps in the offseason. I think these guys should be prepared, especially with Ron Rivera, Jack Del Rio leading the way. I don't know. So I'm waiting for those corners to step up. I'm waiting for the coverage in the back end to step up. I'm waiting for Chase Young to step up. The defense in general, there was actually some good-sized holes for Barkley as well. And then back to that, too, I thought Barkley could have been involved more. Again, there was moments where it was like, what are they doing? Are they going no huddle? And, if you're going to go no huddle and just try to get down the field and score, I'm all for that. I don't really like going conservative, especially when you're up. I hate when teams go conservative and let's run the clock and run the ball again. Let's bunt. Give the team the chance. But the Giants were kind of all over the place. It's like no huddle, but then here run the ball, run the clock. All right, let's throw, and we're going to try to get points to put the game away. But let's not give Barkley the ball, even though he's gaining, and let's not give him the ball. Yeah, not even in terms of in the backfield runs, but in terms of the passing game. And then let's just kind of settle for field goals. I know they kind of shot themselves in the foot with a drop ball. Touchdown was called back. The last one to put the game away was a behind throw by Daniel Jones, and that was a good call. So there was you can't really blame the coaching staff every moment, but it's kind of like I don't know. It's kind of all over the place to me. A lot of unprepared moments on both sides. And it's one of those games where it's kind of similar to Washington's game last week. Like it's like whoever lost that game kind of choked it away. But whoever won the game is pretty fortunate. It gets weird to see that at the same time. Like, because if you lost, you choked it away. That meant you were probably deserving to win the game for the most part, but you won, you got lucky. It applies to both sides, no matter who won the game. And I think I said on Twitter at one point, whoever loses the game is going to regret settling for field goals. And that kind of ended up being even though Washington won on a field goal, it kind of ended up being the case. If you would have went for it in this situation, if you would have, not played for third down in this situation, not played conserve in this situation, you probably would have won the game. But I guess maybe more of the storyline for the Giants is if Dexter Lawrence doesn't go off. I don't really put it too much on that. If he doesn't go off sides, they win the game. That's a brutal mistake. But you can't rely on a guy missing the field goal. You almost got to expect that guy to make that field goal, which usually he does. It's before then, the drop touchdown, the penalties, then both sides had an even amount of penalties. And those penalties were they were the right calls, I thought, actually. So it's a tough one. It's a tough one to lose for the Giants. It's a much needed win for Washington, because if it was the other way around, if Washington started 0-2 and the defense looked like that, and they had that bad interception to kind of choke the game away, it would have been bad. There would not have been a lot of hope for that team. 0-2. It would not have been good. So they pull it off, though. They pull it off. A wild game, intense ending. My heart was beating like crazy. I'm not a fan of either team. It's just I love those types of games. Still a little sloppy, though, but it is week 2. So those are my takeaways for the game. I have all my takeaways, my thoughts within and after the game on Twitter for every game. So make sure you follow that. Link down below, description, comments. Please like, subscribe, turn notifications on. We got full NFL coverage here. We got anything you can think of. We're also adding videos throughout the season like we always do. Rookie rankings will come back at some point early in season. Mid-season player rankings and playoff predictions, Super Bowl prediction. We got all that. We got everything on top of our weekly predictions in power rankings. So join us for that. Be greatly appreciated. Appreciate you guys also for watching this video. Goodbye.